Steen, in the first quarter, you started your commercialization journey by entering the Indian market by your first sale. Now we are in Q2 and almost finished here. Can you give us a little bit context on how are this looking?
Yes, you're right. We started our actual sales in India in the end of Q1. So Q2 has really been a quarter for us with a lot of activity in India, and I'm happy to say that we are very pleased with the progress. We spent a lot of effort on activating all the 350 plus outlets we have in India. So which means basically road shows and product introductions and everything. So we are now at a point where, of course, we're closing the quarter. We are doing the half year result in a few weeks in August, and so I think we are at a really good stage now.
And customer feedback, it's your first market. It's the first time you're meeting your customers. Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes. So I think you can say the key task we have in India is to introduce this new product category, sort of like an advanced hearable, basically form factor, and with the built-in hearing aid functionality. And that's what we have been really spending our effort on. And what we can see is that people, once they get to understand what this is about, they really find this to be a great solution for kind of like addressing hearing loss and also using it for kind of media consumption, which is very much what we have been aiming at doing. The channels, of course, we are working primarily in terms of the business-to-business channel with the professional clinics. So they are hearing experts, and they are the ones who has the conversation with their customers. But the feedback we're getting really is that yes, once they start to understand what this is about, this is something that falls in a very nice place. Feature-wise, it comes, as you know, with all the bells and whistles of a hearing aid plus this other functionality, and those are the things that people are discovering step by step. We had some feedback also from, you can say, end users in terms of certain ear sizes in India is slightly different than what we have been sort of thinking about when we have decided. So we're making some adjustments to what we actually include in the product package, some different ear tips, slightly longer and thinner ones, and this is kind of like it's that kind of feedback we're getting now. We're also getting some feedback on from the professional clinics on what they like to have of functionality, and we actually just the last week we announced a little, you can say, add-on where a professional can go in and manually input an audiograms kind of numbers. So basically for the individual person, a professional can fit this manually, so it actually addresses different kinds of hearing loss than we might be able to do ourselves.
And the Indian market, a lot of talk about slowdown all over. Yes. Emerging market. We're also talking about COVID-19 lockdowns in China, but I don't think it's affecting India. So how do you feel with your value proposition, your cost price, and looking into the Indian market? Are you fearing any kind of a slowdown from the economic side?
No, I think, of course, just like in the rest of the world, India is subject to different changes following the whole sort of the pandemic, but also you can say the situation around with the inflation and so on. This is not something we are seeing any effect of right now. We have pegged our price at a level in India which is equivalent to around $400. So the market we are aiming for right now with this offering is a market that has got ability to invest in goods that they feel are important to them. There's a maximum price in India, which is what you're doing there. So of course it might maybe sold at a lower price, but we are seeing a very good kind of average selling price from our point of view to our partners. So we haven't seen any major issues around that so far. I would say the price point we are at is also attractive. So as you say, maybe in the sort of phase of economic adversity, this is not a bad place to be, with an affordable kind of entry-level offering in that segment. I think that's a good place to be. Also, if we're looking beyond India, we are really looking to maintain the same price point. So when we go to other markets in the future, this certainly is something that I believe will help us.
Last year, you experienced some delays on your commercialization due to supply chain issues. How is that looking for you right now?
Yeah, well, currently it's not a problem for us. We have been focusing on building up a kind of substantial inventory at the point where we are now having several thousand products on the shelves in our office and with our retail partners in India. So right now we're continuing to do that the coming months, so we have enough product for the remainder of this year.
And actually, there has been some kind of good talk about supply chain. You know that the component issue is maybe falling in prices, and it's not that easy. And China is also going away from a lockdown, so. Is that also giving you some optimism that there's no problem going ahead?
Yes, I mean, of course, chips, you have to order them well in advance, and there are certain long lead items that we have to place orders on, like 3 to 4 months in advance. Chips is actually longer, and we're doing that. So right now, we don't see any major issues in that regard. Freight prices are also stabilizing, probably at a quite high level still, but we also soon starting to exploit kind of travel by sea instead of by planes, flights and so on. So it's what we have been doing till date, and the products are coming into the market in a predictable manner. So I think it's pretty okay right now.
You have announced your intention to raise new capital. Can you elaborate a little bit on how that is progressing, and maybe a little bit on where is this capital going to be allocated to? Which growth initiatives are you going to use the money for?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good question. And of course, we have been detailing this some months ago, what we are aiming at. The key, you can say, point we are at now is that we have a product in the market. We have to invest more in developing the market in India. We have to develop more, you can say, markets elsewhere as well, like in the US, which we are aiming at. But there is also markets around India that we feel are relevant for us to explore. So part of this capital raise, I would say around 50% of that is going to go into marketing and sales. So basically driving the product out in the market, higher penetration in terms of retail points and so forth. So the other, you can say, large chunk of this, of course, is new product development for the FDA market in the US, the over-the-counter product. But also there's support and maintenance on the existing offerings. Plus, we are planning variants of this current product we have, the VEN, for, you can say, different markets. So there is a roadmap, of course, planned that we are now gearing up to actually start to deliver on going forward, as well as, you can say, marketing the existing product and supporting that in the market. So that's the key aim for this coming round. So India is a key part of that, of course, but there will be other markets as well that we will start becoming active in.
And as a current investor, or if you are that, there's always the question: is it going to be preemptive, meaning that you will be offered also as an existing shareholder
This is a round with preemptive rights for existing shareholders, and of course we really hope to you can say engage the existing 2,700 plus shareholders we have in this round, but also at the same time we are looking to really broaden it and for example get more investors in Sweden to discover Audientes and join our you can say our road ahead. That's the aim.
Steen, you mentioned looking also at the Swedish shareholder, trying to broaden the space. Is that actually why you are moving from the First North to the Spotlight stock market?
It's one of the reasons. I mean, we have all seen, you can say, in the last 6 months, the effect of a market that is changing. We have seen the impact on share prices, including ours. Part of that is that there is a lack of kind of liquidity in the small stock exchanges, especially you can say in Denmark, where the market is not as developed as it is in Sweden, due to many reasons. So we have been looking at this, and with our advisors we have begun this journey where we will be changing from First North growth market in Denmark to Spotlight stock market in Denmark as well, but which is part of this you could say pan-Nordic market for kind of small and medium-sized companies in particular, and with a lot of focus on kind of life science and medtech. So we hope in that process to really broaden the awareness of Audientes to the Swedish market. It's like 3 times the size of the Danish kind of retail investor market. And I understand there's more institutional investors also playing in that market. And we see that as being important for our journey ahead and for our shareholders. I think this would be a really good move at a time where you can say you have to really be proactive, I think, to take care of your existing shareholder base, but also looking ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned it yourself. It's not that easy to raise capital right now. Have you been speaking to some larger Swedish or Danish institutional investors, and do you think it's possible, because actually you are in the right country, you know, we are well known for hearing aids here in Denmark, but of course Swedish know medtech, so exactly. So how are you feeling and your conversation with different?
Well, you can say part of the early feedback we have gotten is that when we become listed at Spotlight, we will be really the only company of our kind with a focus on hearing health and in our market. So there isn't a lot of other players in that space. So we will, I believe, have a really good and kind of vocal profile in that sense. I think what everyone is saying right now is that you have to have some growth ambitions that are sensible, and where you can really convince the market that this is sort of a good place for them to be in. You know, where we want to go, we would like the market to go with us. So that's what we have been starting to explore with of course investors in Sweden. We are at an early stage. We are right now preparing the prospectus that has to be, you can say, submitted to the Danish Financial Supervisory Authority for approval in the end. So we are in that process, and we expect that to really be completed in the coming months. So in the month of August, I think we'll be in a very good place there. And we'll be starting the dialogues just after the summer vacation in more detail.